So this is where we left off yesterday. I just got the car all cleaned up. I tried to get it cleaned up. Whole thing sanded down with 220, and today we need to move on to body work. We have damage all over this thing. That is gonna need some filler. The roof is gonna need filler. I'm not sure how we are gonna know where the dents are, but we'll figure it out. It's hard to see them now because it's all sanded down. Also, all the parts that we painted black for this car really didn't turn out all that good. Like I said, I'm not very good at body work. And then also, I never showed you guys this, but we need to kind of do some more body work on these wide body panels. Let me show you guys why. Everything's much easier to see when you have some sort of wrapper paint on. We have a little gouge right there that I did not see. A little bit of a line right there. This edge is a little bit janky. And then on this panel here, you can still see kind of like an outline of where we did the body work for the hidden hardware. When I initially started working on this car, I was like, yeah, this thing's gonna be like a 7 out of 10 exterior. 7 out of 10 exterior wise. So I'm not gonna spend a billion hours making it perfect, but now we're gonna make it a 10 out of 10 to the best of my ability, which the wide body panels were the best of my ability, but at the end of the day, when I went to wrap them, clearly see that my body work is not up to par. So we need to do some research, do some digging around, talk to some people, talk to Bob, and get all that squared away. The thing that is stressing me out the most is the roof, just because I remember how shitty it looked when it was wrapped black. You could see quite a bit of dents and dings. I don't know if it was actual hail damage or not, but regardless, there was quite a bit of stuff going on. So what I was recommended is to grab a cloth full of wax and grease remover, and it's all dirty now, but this kind of acts as like a clear coat, really shiny, so then you can kind of look down it like this and see all the dents. That's what I've been doing. I also have my block. I really messed up buying this block. For some reason, shut up. For some reason, I thought this block would have been Velcro, like our paper, but I did not get a Velcro block. So kind of a pain, but we have 220 on the block here. So I've been just going through and flat sanding the entire roof, and that's helping a lot with trying to see all the low spots. And then whenever we find all of the low spots that we have, I'll probably go through, circle all of them with a marker, grab a grinder, grind down bare metal, get some body filler on that low area, and then we can flat sand the entire roof and make it 100% flat and perfect. Fuck this car. That's what's going on. So we sanded it with 220 on that block. So pretty much everywhere where it's still shiny is a low spot. That's a low spot, that's a low spot. This whole freaking thing right here is low. At least that is what the sandpaper is telling me. A little bit low, 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 low. You guys get the point. Now, I was initially gonna grind all of that out. So all of the previous body filler that whoever put in there, I was gonna grind all that out just to make it good to go. But instead, I picked up some glazing putty. And I think that's when we should use it, is stuff like this. They're not super deep, so I think this is gonna be the go-to thing to use on something like that. If it was quite a bit deeper, I'd just use regular body filler, but I'm gonna try out this finishing putty and let's see what happens. I got some good stuff this time around. The paint store said this is the best stuff available. Let's give her a shot. It's really amazing using nice products. I bought a really nice glaze. I bought a nice spreader, and it makes the job so much easier. We got a ton of glaze. I literally just went down, got a ton of glaze on this roof in the areas that were low. So I'm gonna let this dry for a few minutes, and then we can go ahead, block it out, and do this maybe another time or two. Get it as close as possible, and then the rest will be filled with filler primer. I'm not gonna get around to filler today. Probably do 2K high build on all the areas that need on the car all in one day. I'm excited to see how easy this icing sands. I realized I put way too much glaze down because something like that turns into something like that or something like that. And so yeah, I put it on a little bit too thick, but you live and you learn. Also, I need to get the proper setup. Where's my block? Being that this block is not Velcro and the paper is Velcro, it's really freaking hard to like control and hold. I've been using 220. They recommend 180 to start, so it's not a big jump, but I'm completely out of 220 strips now, so I need to run to the paint store anyway, but they're closed now, so I'm gonna head there in the morning, buy some more supplies because this is fun. I'm excited. I think I might do the entire roof, get the process down, and then knock out the rest of the car. But I don't know, I might not. All right, so I left the shop yesterday afternoon, really early. I went home. I spent probably 6 to 8 hours doing just a ton of research on bodywork, different ways to do it, different ways to skin the cow, you could say. Everybody has a different way, and I kind of came up with something that I think is going to work really good, a method that a lot of people use. And then this morning I went back to the paint shop and I got a few things. I got some more of these blocks that are the hook and loop, so pretty much Velcro on the back. I got more sandpaper, some proper grits. So now I have a much better idea of what we actually need to do. I do feel like a lot of that glazing putty should have been applied over bare metal, but I do also know that if it's scuffed properly, you should be good to go. Instead of using 220, we need to be using 180. It's just stuff like that. We should be using guide coat on this glazing putty as well to make sure we pull out all of the low spots. We got a lot of work to do. Yeah, I'm excited to get restarted. I feel like yesterday I was just kind of running in circles, not really doing a whole lot. So now I have a rough idea of what we actually need to do. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and spray some guide coat on these areas. They might be a little bit more difficult to sand now because they've been sitting for a while, but let's hit them with some guide coat, even the areas over there that we already sanded. And then I think this stuff dries super fast. We're gonna go ahead and block it out with 180, and then we guide coat it again, hit it with 220, and then I'll end up finishing it off 320 on our DA with the interface pad. Technically, if we get all the low spots out, we should be ready for some filler primer on the roof. So that's the method that we're gonna be using. Quite honestly, the most helpful channel to me so far has been, I think his name is Brian at Paint Society. I've watched it feels like every single video he's ever put out, and I've watched them all in the last week. I've done a lot of research. So I have a good idea now. Let's get this thing outside, keep the shop clean, and see if we can knock out this roof before we have to leave for Florida. We're headed out to Florida today for FL2K. So the first thing we're gonna grab is, I'm gonna be using this bigger block. We don't need 80 grit or any of that. This big old block with some 180, and that should be perfect to completely knock down that glaze. Gonna be so much better having this hook it. I'm gonna start with the areas that we already did, just to see if we actually have more low spots, which we probably do. Let's hit this little area right here. Is that dry? Yep. This stuff dries in like a minute, it seems. So right off the bat, just a little bit of light sanding, you can see still black paint. That means we still have quite a bit of a low spot right here. Pretty much sand until all the black paint's gone, and we should be good. Let's move on to the next area. So on this one right here, no matter how much I sand, we still have black paint right up in this area right here. And we're starting to see a little bit of metal on the outside. So that means this area right here is gonna need a little bit of filler. This area needs filler. Yeah, guide coat helps a lot. That's what I'm noticing. You can completely feel this area right here that's low. So we'll hook that up later with some filler. So we've made some really nice progress on the roof. I don't have time this morning to get the whole thing done. I have like 30 minutes left to work. There's still some areas, for example, right here, you see how it's